Hey there, and welcome back to our kitchen. I'm Casey, and this is Lauren, and we're two of Festival's Mealtime Mentors. Today, we're keeping it simple with a tasty one-dish meal.
I love this meal. It's so simple, but really kind of gourmet and delicious.
Yes, it
We're
is.
making pesto chicken bake.
This is so delicious, and like Lauren said, super simple. So to get started, we have 4 chicken breasts, and we've just put them into our baking dish. That's obviously going to be the base.
Yes. Next, we're just going to add a little bit of salt and pepper to our chicken. Today, these chicken breasts are very large.
Yes.
So just keep that in mind when you're selecting them, depending on the size you're looking for, but it will also impact the cooking time too.
Right. So while Lauren's doing that, I'm going to get started shredding our cheese. This is just mozzarella cheese that I'm going to shred. This will go on top of the chicken eventually. You could definitely just use a pre-shredded. That'll melt. It should melt just fine with everything else, but we're just going to shred our own today.
That's what we had today, so.
Yes, exactly.
Pretty easy. I also like to use fresh mozzarella that you can find in our deli cheese island.
Yes.
Kind of gives a little bit different flavor, but feel free to experiment.
Yes.
So our next step is we got to slice up a couple tomatoes. So we need one really nice tomato slice for each chicken breast. So I've got our tomatoes here. I'm going to use a serrated knife. This is a really good idea whenever you're working with tomatoes because it prevents them from being crushed by the knife.
Right. That can be kind of tricky sometimes when you have, depending on how ripe the tomato is, yeah, sometimes you end up just kind of squirting it all over the place.
Yes, but this works really well.
Yes.
This is a beautiful tomato too.
Yes, it is. Oh, I love all those different colors.
Yeah, perfect.
All right, so I've got my cheese all shredded here. So I'm going to move on to topping our chicken breasts with some pesto. We just got this pesto from our deli. Super simple, again. You could, of course, make your own if you would like. Just throwing a few ingredients like basil, garlic, pine nuts, or walnuts.
This is something I always have in my fridge at home.
Yes, yeah.
It's great to have on hand for different meals or salads.
Yes, very versatile and very delicious.
Yes, so Casey mentioned you can find this at our deli cheese island, but we also have a couple varieties in our grocery department as well. This variety needs to be refrigerated.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, some of the other ones don't, but all right. So we've got that all spread out over our chicken breasts. And then next we're going to add our cheese. So I'm just going to sprinkle this on top.
And after that, that is when our beautiful tomatoes come in.
Yes.
So I'm going to add 1 per chicken breast. These turned out so pretty.
Yes.
If you had cherry tomatoes, you could also just slice those up and sprinkle them over the top. That would be really good too.
Yeah.
So we have our oven preheating to 400. Casey's going to pop that in. We have one that's done as well. And as you mentioned before, the cook time is really going to vary based on the size of your chicken breast. We just want to make sure that the chicken breast is cooked through. So about 25 to 35 minutes would be typical. But again, just keep an eye on it and make sure that it's completely cooked through.
There are a lot of juices that come from both the tomato and the pesto. That oil really comes out, which helps to make the chicken really nice and juicy.
Yes, it will not be dried out, that's for sure.
No.
So our last step is we're going to garnish with some fresh basil. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chiffonade the basil, which essentially just means cutting it into nice thin strips. So from here I've got our basil all layered together. I'm going to roll it up really nice and tight. And then on a slight angle, I'm just going to use my chef's knife and just slice it up into thin strips.
Rolling that up really makes it a lot easier to cut, and it, like you said, makes those really nice strips that, in my opinion, look very gourmet.
Yes, and I just love how this really brings out a lot of the delicious flavors from our pesto that we used.
Yes.
Just adds a little bit of freshness to this dish.
And like we mentioned, these chicken breasts were a little bit larger, so they took a little bit longer to cook. You could definitely cut them in half or even cut them in strips if you wanted to, decrease that cooking time a little bit. Either way will work.
And in terms of making this a complete meal, obviously this is really our main dish, but serving this with a nice caprese salad or just a nice spinach salad would be really delicious.
Yes, you could even add it to some like zoodles, like a bed of zoodles.
Oh yeah, there's plenty of nice sauce in the bottom that you could use to use as your sauce on the top.
Yes, that would be very delicious.
All right. So, hand your utensils here. We're going to slice this one in half.
Yeah, these are very large.
Yes, they are, but we'll
Oh my
definitely
gosh.
serve a crowd, that's for sure.
Yes. I
sure I
love
get
the
this
smell.
sliced.
All those like really fresh caprese smells
Yes.
coming through that basil is so
There
delicious.
we go. All right. Let me make sure I get you some
Oh yeah.
tomato.
Thank you.
Yum.
Alrighty. Let's give this a try.
I love how quickly this came together too. That makes a huge difference for me.
Oh, for sure, especially on a weeknight.
Yes.
Mm.
I just love pesto, which is why I keep it in my fridge pretty
Seriously,
much at all times.
you could add it to anything and
Yum.
make it delicious. We'll bake up something delicious with this super simple meal.
And to get this recipe on your phone, text chicken to 78402.
And for more recipes and resources from your mealtime mentors, visit festfoods.com.